And welcome back to Later Corp videos. Today's Later Corp video comes from us from Wade Wilson. The only one who could find who gave me Frieza. Who asked what Later Corp do I think Frieza belongs into? Frieza is first off, Frieza, let's be honest. I mean, everyone's taste is their own, but Frieza is probably the de facto best Dragon Ball Z villain there is. But it's because he's so evil, but so multifaceted too. And I mean, you want one example of that? Just look at the tournament to power. He goes through so many different art shades just within that tournament alone, just from being brought back to life. His hatred and rivalry of Goku, giving Goku energy, working with him eventually. He's just a very unique and very well put together character ultimately. But that begs the question: what Lanticorp does he belong in? Now let's get one out of the way right off the bat. Despite what you might think, I don't think he qualifies as a Green Lantern. Now, the reason for that is, well, he's got a lot of willpower, especially when he had to use training to basically control his golden form in Hell. He's never really had to overcome great fear. Yes, he was afraid of the Saiyans, absolutely. And afraid of the Super Saiyan form. But ultimately, it was less that he overcame great fear, more that he just got stronger and just his arrogance overshadowed his fear. So I really can't say he overcame great fear. And his style of who he is just isn't suited to a Green Lantern. What it is suited for, though, is a Yellow Lantern ring. I mean, hell, look at Golden Frieza, too. Change up the golden part of it to some degree. Put a lantern logo on there. He could easily be a Yellow Lantern. Frieza's name inspired fear throughout the galaxy. King Kai, a deity, a low-level deity, but a deity, was scared shitless of this guy. And to be fair, if I'm not mistaken, the recorded power level we have for King Kai is around 3,000. If I'm not mistaken, I could be wrong on that. It makes sense why he'd be afraid. It's not like he could do anything if he really wanted to. But yeah, everyone was afraid of Frieza. Even Goku, at least during some Namek, was afraid of Frieza to some degree. But yeah, he's just... He kind of exemplifies the whole Yellow Lantern aspect. So that's a pretty strong category. Another one, though, is Rage. Frieza is hateful, spiteful, and wants revenge. He wants to murder Goku. He wants to kill him. He wants his payback so bad. And he just can't, because every time he tries, he always ends up failing. You kind of feel a little bit sorry for him on some level. It's like, because no matter how he brings Broly in, it's working, and it doesn't go his way, and then it's like, what? Who are you? Oh, we're Gogeta. We learned this while you were dead. No fair! And it's like, you, and he's about to punish. He says, and Gogeta goes like, I will hold this world. I will hold this planet in my hands someday. And he just gets out of there because he's clearly pissed off. Like, Frieza carries a lot of hate. Even in the tournament of power, he's just like, you haven't forgotten your promise to resurrect me, have you, Saiyan? It's like, I'll keep my promise. You should know that by now, right, Frieza? And it's like, you two done making up? We'll make up over my dead body. So, yeah, he's never cared or liked Goku. He hates the Saiyans, and he specifically hates Vegeta and Goku. And specifically hates Goku. So, yeah, Rage could work easily for him. Now, one that I don't think works for him is love. He loves himself, but it's more of an admiration and just arrogance than a true love or lust or anything like that. We really don't know much about the Frost Demon species in terms of procreation. I've heard they reproduce asexually, just divide, or they can just kind of lay an egg or whatever. But, I mean, we've never seen a female member of the species. Maybe there is. We just haven't seen them. But it's just one of those things where even if there was, Frieza clearly doesn't strike me as someone who cares about relationships, romantic interests, or anything like that. If there was someone, if he were to sire an offspring through someone else, it would be for procreation, and admittedly probably his own physical pleasure, but that's about it. So he's not a Lantern of Love. One, though, that you could make an argument for is compassion, and that's because you either have to have no compassion whatsoever, it needs to be your dominant trait, or you need to have none. Zip. Nada. Because basically what the ring does is it levels you out and kind of makes you just neutral but compassionate. And Frieza really doesn't have any compassion in him whatsoever. The closest we ever came to compassion was when he gave some energy to Goku and turned him into power, but that was not compassion so much as him hating to be in debt and basically paying him back for what he did on Namek. And he says, "We're even now." That was basically what that was. So compassion, weirdly enough, could work. Now that being said, we'll talk about the overall de facto core. I think for him in just when we're done with the remaining 2 we have. Because, yeah, 5 whole Lantern Corps I think he belong in out of the 9. So, yeah, over half of them I think he could qualify for. But yeah, it's one of those things where he qualified. Despite everything he is, it's actually what allows him to qualify for it. He is not a qualifier, by the way, for either the White Lantern Corps of Life or the Blue Lantern Corps of Hope. Look, Hope did get placed on Frieza's shoulders a little bit. Like, people had to have faith that Frieza could help win the day, but that does not qualify for a Lantern. He does not inspire hope in anyone, nor does he have faith in anything besides himself. So, no, the Blue Lantern Corp would not work for him. And he's taken way too many lives and does not care about life at all for him to be a White Lantern. Avarice, though, let's be honest, Frieza is a warmongering tyrant, a conqueror of worlds, all for, frankly, the sake of doing it, to amass more power and just to keep doing it till his dying days. If that doesn't scream avarice and greed, I don't know what does. Now, I will say this. Of all the Lantern Corps, and we'll get to, and I got one more to go over before we go down the list, I don't think this is actually the one he qualifies for. Mostly because I think his some other emotions definitely supersede this one. But this is probably like the second tier runner-up Corp, Lantern Corp, or Corp. I keep saying Corp, but it is actually pronounced Corp. Last but not least, there is the Black Corps of Death. Frieza has killed so many people, has committed genocide on such a level, a galactic level of genocide in his day, wiping out the Namekians, wiping out the Saiyans, however many other races he's not killed in his time there, his time in that universe. He honestly personifies death and destruction on a grand scale. So ultimately, yeah, Black would work perfectly well for him. But that now breaks down the question. Is he a Death Lantern? Obviously, I've already pointed out I don't think he is. Is he an Avarice Lantern? Is he an Indigo Lantern? Is he a Red Lantern or is he a Yellow Lantern? So let's go in reverse order, because I basically already said I don't think Avarice would work. I think Indigo is probably the least likely, and I think that because while Frieza would take probably any of these to gain in power, the minute they talks about compassion, he destroyed a damn ring. And yeah, I do believe Frieza, in fact, most universal level Dragon Ball characters, so like Goku, Vegeta, Frieza, because he can go toe-to-toe with Super Saiyan Blue Goku, so we know he's got universal level of power. Obviously, Beerus, Whis, Zeno, even Majin Buu, because of the nature of Majin Buu, could destroy a Lantern Ring. But yeah, it's probably the least likely, simply because everything else here overrides that. I think that's the case. Like, his lack of compassion completely is overridden by how much rage, how much fear he instills, how much avarice he has in his heart, how much death he's caused. I think it just all overpowers that. But moving on to that, though, I do think avarice is the next unlikely one. Only really because I think he's committed so much genocide, he harbors so much hatred towards Goku, and he's instilled so much fear that I think avarice it's not strong enough compared to the other 3, as it is to say. So now we carry over to the remaining ones. We carry over to fear, rage, and death. I'm going to knock off rage next. And the reason for this, while he'll always carry that hatred of Goku, it's not something that's driving him every single day. Look at the Broly Super movie, for example. Once he's back to doing what he's doing, he's not openly bothered to deal with Goku that much until he gets Broly, who could possibly do something against Goku and Vegeta to get like some payback and stuff like that. But otherwise, he's going about his routine and he's fine ultimately. I mean, don't get me wrong, he still hates Goku, absolutely, but it's not something that's driving his day in, day out routine. So I think just because of that, I'm gonna put a Red as the third option. So In the number 5 spot right now, it is the Indigo League. In the number 4 spot, it is the Avarice Corps. In the number 3 spot, it's Atlantic Corps of Rage. So that leaves us with Fear and Death. So which one I ultimately think is most likely? Well, it's kind of in some ways a lackluster answer. I do think the second runner-up is Death. And the reason for that is I think the reason he is still so much fear is because he caused that much, because of how ruthless he is and how much death he caused and how much power he had. But, it's not like he spent every day killing people. There are days he rested, and Frieza took pleasure in scaring. I think that's something that really kind of separates these two. While he took pleasure in killing, he took a lot more pleasure in the fear that he instilled in others because of what he did, and because they knew overall what he was and what he did. So I think ultimately I would take the Yellow Lantern ring just a bit over the Black Lantern ring. The other issue for the Black Lantern ring is it does make you a bit of a slave. Because the Black Lantern ring is a kind of a parasitic ring that kind of brainwashes you into being a Black Lantern member, where it's same with the Indigo League, whereas the other ones not so much. And I think Frieza wouldn't allow that to happen. Like Frieza is Frieza. He is who he is, and he'll always be who he is. So I think Fear is the most likely, and I think it would gel well with his Golden Frieza form, honestly, in terms of like design. So, ultimately, in my opinion, it is the Atlantic Corp of Fear that is the most likely candidate for Frieza. But hey, look, that's just my opinion. What do you think? Do you think it's Fear? Do you think it's Death, Rage, Compassion, Avarice? Or is there a reasonable scenario for him to be a White Lantern, a Sapphire Lantern, or a Blue Lantern? Let me know in the comments below what you think, but thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Like, comment, share, and subscribe. As always, if you want us to review something, put in the comments below. Let us know. We'll do a review of it at some point, and hit that bell if you want to be notified. I got to pre-record my what if for tomorrow, but that's it for today. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.